Hey guys, it's DC, and welcome to the Soap Sanctuary, where all soap lovers are welcome. This is actually a lot easier without special effects, just to be able to push these out. Boom, 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 boom today. It's a lot more easier for me now, actually. I might need to try this and do special effects once in a while. But this is my Skeem Saam review, A New Generation. I've done a Skeem Saam review in a minute, guys. But anybody watching my channel knows my international soaps always come first in terms of my viewing experience. I watch Skeem Saam and Hollyoaks every single day. Skeem Saam, Hollyoaks I've only been watching for the past few months, since April. Skeem Saam I have been watching since 2017. I remember there was a year, 2017 was the year I took a break from the American soaps. And that's when I was watching South African soaps that year, because the storylines were actually good and captivating. But this is my Skeem Saam review, A New Generation, guys. Let's talk about this. I'm weeks behind, and I know I'm playing a little catch up, but I want to discuss so much that I haven't discussed since the last review, which was when the hospital was in the hospital in the coma after Kwesi stabbed him. Let's talk about first, before we get into Lahasa and Pre-Hasa and Pretty and all these people, let's talk about Alfred Moranga becoming principal of Turf Loop High. Alfred becoming principal of Turf Loop High. It was a monumental moment. I don't know if he's ever been in the past, because I feel like this was something that him and Celia, they were building themselves for him to become principal. Which is why with this storyline, it feels weird to not have Celia in this storyline. Like, at least for when he became principal, she wasn't there. I get the actress decided to leave, but I felt like if they could have found a way to not necessarily rush the storyline, but have it in a way where she could have at least been there for that part and then ushered her off wherever she was going. I would have liked that, because I feel like this is something her and Alfred have always schemed for this whole time in the show, and so now they're there. Now that he's there, she's not there. So it's a different type of Turf Loop High, and there were some powerful scenes we got to see from Evelyn and Principal Tobahali. We got to see all these powerful scenes on Skeem Saam. I'm wondering, like, it's so weird of an adjustment it has to be for principal, because you've gone from being the principal of the school, the person who's running the school, to now you're just a regular teacher. I mean, principal was still teaching classes herself, which I thought was interesting. Her and Alfred were still teaching classes themselves, so that didn't change. That's an interesting dynamic, though. But for me, it's interesting seeing that adjustment for principal, and it's like she handled it with grace. She really handled it with grace. And I think in her mind, she's like, okay, I'm going to let Alfred become principal, do what he wants to do. And I want to be there to probably watch him self-destruct. But it was obviously her love of the students, or the learners, they call them, and Essay, Mzanzi, that she stuck around for that. So I really appreciate that. I really honestly really appreciate that. I want to first next go off into, before I go off into that, I spoke about this on the Hollyoaks review. This is one of the things I've noticed about international soaps, is that as opposed to American soaps have like the fantasy, everyone's an entrepreneur, a business mogul, a doctor, a lawyer, whereas on these other shows we see other occupations being represented. We have a principal as one of the primary occupation of the show. That much I can honestly say is something I've never really seen on American soaps. I've never really seen that dynamic. Skeem Saam, comparing it to an American soap, it reminds me of a mixture between Guiding Light and Degrassi in a way, because we got to see Kat, Tabo, and Quato, who were, the show was really centered around them. Then we got to see the next generation after them, which was Noah, Chloe, and then Clement. And now we're seeing Matlatsi, Paxton, and Charles Canutu's-san. I can't remember the name. Although I feel like they're doing theirs a little bit differently now. It's like this next generation that we get to see kind of unfold on the show. I want to next go into Clement and Ori's storyline when they were gay bashed, when they went over to Joburg. I knew something like that was going to happen. Clement is very naive. That is something I very realized with him. His whole romance Tolitzo. Clement is a very naive character. I mean, capital letters naive. Making out in the middle of the highway on the road with your boyfriend. Yes, this world is progressive, but I feel like in a way, you kind of have to be smart. You gotta read the room. You gotta be aware of your surroundings. You know what I mean? But it was a good storyline they told. That's, you know, Skeem Saam hits it out of the park with real storylines. Like when Eunice had all that money from Fani and she blew it. And then she ended up having an addiction. That felt like such a real storyline where how many people do you know who have had financial advantages in life or come into a good amount of money and they blew it because they didn't know how to manage it? And that was this show teaches life lessons unlike any other show I've ever seen. Honestly, unlike any other show I've ever seen, without it feeling like an after school special. Like they managed to still make it where the whole family could watch the show, where it's still a soap. And on top of that, they're still telling dynamic storylines because this doesn't just feel like just a teenager show. Even though that's probably like the focal point of it is, right? But they managed to tell the stories in a way where they could connect with all different types of people. It brings me to Kat, Candice, and Mapitsi. With Kat's storyline, Kat has always been the background of all of his relationships. From his friendship with Tibos and Cueto to his relationship with Candice. Candice just needs to be dropped, you know? Kat has always been the background. And I feel like now we're finally getting to understand Kat's true point of view, how he feels about everything. I mean, even with his parents, he's been in the background, if you think about it. His dad didn't really raise him. Neither did, who is it? Charity. You know? It was Coco Mancha that raised Kat. So he's always been the background for everything. Even his own restaurant, he don't even own it. It's a hustle that really owns the restaurant. Isn't that crazy? That's been a central theme in Kat's life, just always been the background. And I remember when he was at La Hasa's restaurant in Joburg, and Pretty said, "You want to know why I left you? It's because I need a real man." And I was like, Pretty, just shh. Just be quiet. Shh. Because Pretty, we're going to get to Pretty in a moment. But with Kat, I want to see Kat stand up for himself more. What does he want out of his life? I was happy when he was willing to go underhanded against Candice because Candice was doing her own thing. Candice was worried about her and herself. And for Candice's dad to say to Candice, "Oh, you know, you've been carrying Kat this whole time." And of course, that's his perception of it. And they were a team at first. Candice and Kat will never be the same. I don't think they could ever be the same now. They couldn't. But then again, you never know because if Tabo and Mapitsi can get married, who's to say? Who's honestly to say? But I want to see Kat stand up for himself more. I want to see more of that on the show. You know, he's always been a background character, but I do want to see more of Kat, honestly. Next, I wanted to move into... I might as well go right into Pretty La Hasa at this point. Well, no. Before I do, let me go into Makey's niece. Makey's niece, or cousin, that's moving into the mansion. This girl's going to be trouble. I can feel it. Makey's being very naive. Still surprised that she's still with Jarman Putla, but that's what are you gonna do about that? He will leave her before she leaves him. That's how I feel about that. There's gonna be some kind of trouble going on there. I feel it. I feel some kind of trouble brewing there in a sense. And just to connect this back to Mapitsi with the Candice, Mapitsi. I feel like Mapitsi had she had genuine intentions going into this partnership with the two of them. She had genuine intentions. I always feel that with Mapitsi. She's one of the most genuine characters on the show. Her approach maybe wasn't the best, but I feel she's genuine about the way she wants to go about it. Next up, let's talk about the real storylines we're going on to Skeem Saam, the biggest one of them all, Pretty and La Hasa. Pretty is so naive. Everyone in her family has warned her about La Hasa. Everybody has warned her. The fact that this man is giving Kwesi so much leeway after she stabbed him and was willing to frame Pretty for the murder of it should tell you everything you should need to know about this man. Pretty has left herself in a vulnerable situation with La Hasa. You don't have no other finances or resources. This man is paying all the bills while you're in school and just lollygagging, right? And at a moment's notice, he says, "I think you should go stay at the hotel." You see? That's what happens when you don't have ownership in a relationship. I don't care if people say, "Oh, it's about the right person." It does not matter. If you don't have your own stuff going on in a relationship, people will treat you a certain different type of way. You don't have your own, right? And don't say Kwesi doesn't have her own, but Kwesi has her whole family standing behind that relationship with La Hasa. She has a different type of support system that Pretty does not have. And I understand this because the type of man La Hasa is when she had her baby by him. You know, and that's gonna be tough for her knowing that she had a baby with Lhasa, she aborted it, which I wish she would have kept the baby. I really wish she would have. I wish the Skeem Saam writers did not have Pretty abort the baby. I wish they would have had her keep the baby. But they didn't. Whatever. So we can't harp on that. But it's gotta be tough for Pretty to know that she had a baby by Lhasa. The baby's no longer living, unfortunately. But now Kwesi's gonna have her moment with Lhasa. That's crazy. And Kwesi's biggest tie is because she knows Lhasa's true family history. So she can use that against him. Pretty doesn't have that kind of leverage. And honestly, Kwesi would probably survive more better in Lhasa's world than Pretty can. Pretty doesn't understand. And it's sad because she sacrificed everything for this man. She's left Kat, a good man, for him. But then again, she cheated on Nimrod with Kat. And I don't know. I feel like when they tried to make Nimrod the sexual harasser, I was just not here for that storyline because I felt like Nimrod was a pretty good character. And just to do that, just to justify her being with Kat, I wasn't here for it. But see, Kat got what's coming for him too. You cheat with them, if they'll cheat with you, they'll cheat on you. And that's what happened. This storyline with Pretty, when I watch it, I get so upset because now Lhasa just proposed, what, marriage to Kwesi? And why? Because she's having his baby. And she also knows his secrets. She knows Lhasa's world better than Pretty does. So she has a leg up on Pretty. My guess is Kwesi's supposed to be like the second coming of Lelo, right? She's like the second coming of Lelo. But the thing about it is that, like, Pretty doesn't get it. She doesn't get it. Even when her uncle came, Safiso has worked for Lhasa before. He knows Lhasa ain't shizzle. He got the money, he got the power, but he would treat you like the socks on his feet. This man will step all over you. And Pretty doesn't understand that. She's too disposable in Lhasa's eyes. She carries no value. Kwesi, I believe, was like a journalist or something prior to that. She had her own career. Now she has Lhasa's baby, and now she knows Lhasa's secrets. And her whole family is standing 10 toes down on her behalf to support this union. And even her uncles are advocating for this union. So she has value, more value in Lhasa's eyes than Pretty does. Pretty's just like, I'm just here, I'm the girlfriend. That's it. You have no claim. In fact, Kwesi and Lhasa were engaged before Pretty came in the picture. And Lhasa's uncle's not even advocate for him to stay with Pretty. Why? Because they want to protect the family and the family secrets. You have no value. And so all these different factors that are circling around Lhasa, who do you think he's going to pick? Even when he went there, I know he loves Pretty. And I would want to hope that Lhasa will do the right thing, but I just don't see it. And she's embarrassing herself. Honestly, I don't get why she couldn't maybe just do long distance, stay with her family, or be, you know, something like that, Lhasa. But a man like Lhasa, you gotta have your own thing going on. You gotta have people really advocating for you. And honestly, I'm gonna say the Maputlas, not the Maputlas, but the Sakamelas, they have treated Pretty like crap. Expression Mentuli, she is treated Pretty like crap from the inception of the show. She's treated Pretty like crap. And this is what I feel what happened is, instead of Pretty internalizing that, having low self-esteem, it did the opposite for her. It made her want more and beyond what she was dealing with her family, her life. She became like a little slave mama, right? She wanted more for herself and more for her life as a result of that. So to me, and I feel like that's why she's with a high value man like Lhasa. She moved on up each time. She went from Nimrod to Kat and now to Lhasa. But now I feel like she's getting her comeuppance because Lhasa's about to dispose of her. And it's sad. It's really sad. And I know I'm talking about a soap, guys. I gotta remember I'm talking about a soap, but it's like, I feel for Pretty, but it's just so sad. This man does not care, but he's just like, you know, I think you should just go to a hotel while we do the negotiations. The moment you guys are in a weird place. Granted, Pretty should have just told him that she went to go see Detective Peterson. She should have just been honest and said, yeah, I went to go see him. Especially when he saw Kwesi there, like, come on. But see, that's the thing, too. That's what I'm saying. Pretty's too naive. She doesn't understand Lhasa's world. Kwesi would have known right then and there that Kwesi was going to say something. And she would have been ready for those responses. She's about that life. Pretty is not. Pretty is not. Pretty is about that Instagram model life. She's not about that life. But there obviously is some type of depth to Pretty in some ways. Because she's walking around, she's the lady of the manor, the lady of the Maposa Empire. But she's not. You have no claim. You don't have his child. You're not engaged. You're not married. You don't have nothing. So you serve no value to Lhasa, unfortunately. It's sad, but she doesn't. I'm being real. She serves no value to Lhasa. Be mad at me for saying it, but she doesn't. She serves no value to him. Yeah, he loves her. But when was the last time we saw Lhasa really follow his heart? He loved Quasi. And look at that. Cheat on her with Pretty. Because at that point in time, Pretty held a value, which was maybe the next hot thing coming around. But now, Quasi did like a Uno reverse. You guys ever played Uno? It's like a Uno reverse card. She played the Uno reverse card. Now Quasi's holding all the cards. And she knows that. Anyways, guys, that's my Skeem Saam review, A New Generation. Anyways, guys, tell me, what are you guys' thoughts on Skeem Saam this week, guys? Let me know in the comments below. I'm going live tonight, guys, at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so check me out on those reviews, guys. I will see you guys on the next one. I am out. This has been Soap Sanctuary.